I'm going to show you 5 or 6 areas in my life in which I had to yield to God for Him to change, and how you can do the same thing to get the same or even better results than me. The first of these areas is finding true love. When you were seeking love in your ex, you didn't know what you were looking for. I've been single and celibate for about a year now, and God has revealed a lot to me during this time. You must understand that everything that exists physically has a spiritual root. Just look at the physical relationship between a man and a woman. During intercourse, the body of the woman opens up to receive the seed of the man, which is an experience that they both find pleasure in. Then as the seed grows and is nurtured, it becomes fruit in the form of a child. 2 things to note. It's a temporary pleasure and it produces a physical result through a physical process. That whole reality and that process is a metaphor or a reflection of man's relationship with God. When you open up your heart and your spirit to receive the word of God, which is his seed, you both find pleasure in that experience. And then when his word grows in you and you take care of it, it becomes fruit in the form of a changed character, a new identity. 2 things to note. The pleasure is eternal, and it's a spiritual process for a spiritual result. Now knowing this, I can look back at my relationship and realize that the reason that I was so unfulfilled, even though I had a partner who I was intimate with, was because that intimacy was temporary. And once I got to know God, I noticed that even after I had prayed and I had left to go to school or I had left to go and work, I would still be in that place of intimacy. I would still be experiencing that pleasure, that hope, that joy, that peace that I would have felt with my partner. Even towards the end of the relationship, when I began to seek God, I noticed that it didn't feel like I was replacing my girlfriend with God, but it just felt like I was returning to my true place of peace. I was returning to a place in which I was loved unconditionally. I was returning to my origin. If God doesn't do anything more in my life, but give me the intimacy that He has been giving me, I am happy with that. I am complete because it gives me fulfillment. Notice that when you've been with a partner intimately, even though it feels amazing and you feel connected, you always know that there's an end to it. When you have this relationship with God, there is no end to it. Endless peace, love, forgiveness, unconditional love. My advice for you, whether you're young or old, is to seek the intimacy that does not die out. Seek the intimacy that isn't dependent on how much you can perform or produce for the other person. This will allow you to move from a place of gratitude, love, and peace. Your relationship with God will fill that void in your heart and allow you to make the right decisions in terms of your partner based on things like, is our vision aligned? Do they want the same thing as I do out of life? Instead of your standard being, this person loves me, or this person is attractive, or I feel good with this person. To put it simply, seek the intimacy that is eternal instead of the intimacy that is temporary. The second area that God changed in my life was my identity. You feel out of place because you don't know who you are. I grew up in London, and from ages probably 8 to 14, I had this wannabe gangster phase. Because your identity and the beliefs that you hold are a result of what you intake. It's a result of your environment. Naturally, before I'd come to God, my environment was people that wanted to be something they weren't, lie about stuff that they've done, sag their trousers, smoke drugs, and sit around doing nothing. Although it may have looked appealing or even humorous to certain audiences from the outside, on the inside it felt absolutely horrible. I had this imposter syndrome. Anywhere I went, I felt out of place. Anything I did, it felt like it wasn't up to that roadman standard that I wanted. But now getting to know God has allowed me to realize who I am in Him. Because humans are made in God's image, I now understand when I read the Bible that I too am holy, just like God is holy. I too am wise. I too am wealthy. I too am powerful because God is powerful and I am made in His image. Being able to internalize these things kills that desire to show other people who you are. Many are at a point where everything they do and say is to impress someone else. Many are at a point where everything they do and say is to impress someone else, even if that person is irrelevant to their life. If that resonates with you at all and you feel like there's any form of people pleasing in your system that you need to let go of, start seeking your identity in God. Start reading the Bible and find who you truly are. Find out what God's standard is instead of the world's standards. Because if you were to model the average person who is in your age group right now, it's likely you'd be in a very bad position. So why not be called extreme but know who you truly are? It's very worth it. The third area is in awareness. You can't see your enemy, and that's exactly why he's winning. I remember a time where any area in my life that you chose to look at, you would see destruction, you would see failure, you would see loss, spiritually, physically, financially, socially, in every way. And this caused me negative thoughts, doubts, low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, all of the above. I was genuinely at a point where I couldn't talk to someone of the opposite gender without having sexual thoughts. So naturally, I believed that every thought in my mind came from me, and I had to try really hard to change myself and fix myself. In reality, both myself and every other human on the planet faces these three forms of attacks. Number one is the flesh. The body naturally, like every other thing in the world, if left unattended and untaken care of, will disintegrate and destroy itself. Imagine you listened to and implemented every single one of your cravings when you got them. What would your body look like? What would your health look like? Imagine you carried out some form of sexual act every time you felt like it in your body. How many partners would you have by now? How deep would you be in a certain addiction? Imagine you acted on every impulse that your body gave you. How many people would you have punched in the face by now? How many people would you have hurt? How many objects and how many relationships would you have broken by now? The point is, if you want to better your life and you're unsatisfied with how things are right now, it's a result of you listening to the flesh and not to the spirit. Walking by the spirit entails consistent prayer, consistent reading of the Bible, and consistently doing the opposite of exactly what your body tells you to do. So I'm urging you, make those changes where changes are due. The second vehicle of attack is the world. In 100% of cases, when you listen to the world and its opinions and its thoughts and its influences, your life will become ruined. The world will tell you things like, marry whoever makes you happy, marry who you love. And that's exactly why the divorce rate is so high. The world will either tell you, work hard in school, get good grades, get a degree, get a job, and work off for the rest of your life. Or it will tell you the complete opposite. Work really hard, make lots of money by any means possible, and don't think about your purpose. Don't think about God or your identity. Just, make as much money. To summarize it, anything that has to do with greed, hate, evil, selfishness is of Satan. And you should do the exact opposite. And I urge you to have a look at your belief systems. Why do you have those beliefs? Who influenced you to have those beliefs? Do the majority hold your belief? And why do they? Be aware of who's really against you. Majority of times, it's not your boss, it's not your family, it's not yourself, but it's Satan, it's the world, and it's your flesh. Do you know the difference between joy and happiness? Happiness always comes in waves depending on what your circumstances are. So if everything's going well for you, you'll feel happy. That's a wave. All of a sudden, things start to go bad and your happiness goes down. Because happiness depends on your circumstances, your happiness will never be constant because things are always changing. Whereas joy is a decision. What is a decision? We'll break it down. D means away from, and side means to cut. Therefore, when you decide, you cut yourself away from any other possibility. Credits to Myron Golden. So when you decide to be joyful or to rejoice, you make a declaration to yourself that you will not let any circumstance, any event bring you below a certain level. Joy looks like, even when I lose everything, I will thank God because He's given me much more than He's taken away. Joy looks like being grateful in your circumstances and for what you have, even when you're aiming for more. I remember there were times in which I was happy, but there was always an element of emptiness because I knew it was temporary. But when you start making decisions, i.e., cutting yourself off from any other possibility, you're able to choose gratitude when you wake up. You're able to choose peace in an argument. You're able to choose happiness. You're able to choose discipline in your day-to-day life. So start making those declarations. Start writing them down and making them clear. I will not do XYZ. I will not allow XYZ to affect me in XYZ way. And last but not least, purpose. You find it hard to stick to goals because they're always about you. If I was to rewind and remember what my goals used to look like, it was something like this. I want to retire my mum. I want to retire my mum. I want to retire my dad. I want to take care of my brother. I want to take care of myself. I want to have these clothes and these shoes and this car and that house. While it is good to envision these things, they shouldn't be your main focus. The purpose of every human summarized is to please God and serve other humans. So if you're in a state of creativity where you're creating solutions to other people's problems, you're serving them in some sort of way, and you're pleasing God by following Jesus and implementing His statutes, you're in your purpose. Basing your goals on producing results for other people or improving their lives will help you to commit to them much easier. Because now it's no longer just you on the line, but there's a whole group of people that are dependent on you taking action. So God one by one stripped me of those desires and replaced them with desires to help the youth, to help the homeless, to help business owners. You focusing on solving other people's problems as your life purpose will allow God to take care of you. But when you're only thinking about yourself, you're not leaving room to solve other people's problems, causing you to remain in lack and poverty, because that's what life is about. To condense it, what goes around comes around. So if you serve other people, you yourself will be served. It's like those videos that you see where someone is approached with a gift or some money and they say double it and give it on to the next person. That person will be blessed and eventually it's going to be their turn to take the money. So your homework is to find a large group of people with a common problem that could be served better in some sort of way, and you come up with a solution for them. There's your life purpose. There's a business. There's a ministry idea for you. Go ahead and do it. If you genuinely got value out of this video, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all of those things and recommend it to someone. But I appreciate you for watching and I'll see you next time. Take care.